Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Carolin Soldo, and today we are here with an episode to help you grow your business with podcasting. I have no other than the amazing John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire with me here today, and he's going to share with us his secrets to grow your business with podcasting. John is the host of Entrepreneurs on Fire, an award-winning podcast where he interviews inspiring entrepreneurs who are truly on fire. With over 2,000 episodes, 1 million plus listens per month, and 7 figures of annual revenue, John Lee Dumas is just getting started, literally. Visit eofire.com to set your entrepreneurial journey on fire. As always, before we get started, make sure you hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes become available here on our channel. Welcome to Powerhouse Business on YouTube. I'm your host, Carolin Soldo. I'm a business owner, business scaling master, and mom of 2 boys. I love thinking big, pushing boundaries, and doing things differently. Most of all, I'm all about achieving massive growth with ease and helping you scale your business by living the life you love. Let's go. Well, John, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today and talk to you about growing your business with podcasting. And I really can't think of anybody better than you to talk to us about this topic.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great hanging out in person down here in Puerto Rico. And now we're hanging out, virtually, which seems pretty cool as well. So I'm excited to be here, share some knowledge, and have some fun.
Absolutely. I want to get to the question that I think everybody wants to know more about. I want to dive right in. And that's the question about how can we really use a podcast to get more clients and make more money?
So for me, a podcast is an amazing medium for a lot of reasons. It's free, it's on demand, and it's targeted. And so when you use a podcast for those 3 areas, you're really going to be able to grow an audience, to really grow your brand and grow your overall influence and impact. Now, the key thing here is targeted. A lot of people, they launch a podcast and they don't really target it. They're just like, I'm going to interview inspiring people, or I'm going to interview people about health. And it's like, not saying that that's not going to be a valuable podcast or a valuable string of interviews, but where's the target? Where's the niche? Where are you being specific to a real significant problem that your podcast is going to provide a solution to? If you can't answer that question off the snap of the head, you're not using a podcast with the highest of its capabilities. But if you can, and if you focus, and if you actually launch that podcast with the mindset that I am going to provide a massive solution to a serious problem that this segment of the market has, or that this micro niche of individuals have, then you're going to win, because then they're going to go to your free, valuable, consistent podcast that's targeted, that's on demand, and they're going to consume that content. And then what's going to happen? They're going to know, like, and trust you because you're providing them that content. Then you can ask them the question, what is your biggest struggle right now? You can hear their response, and then you can provide the direct solution in the form of a product or a service or a community. That's how you win with podcasting.
So what I'm hearing you say is that it's about value. And I think you mentioned that before. I heard you say that before. It's not about the fancy funnels or the tech or anything. It's about becoming, what did you say? Becoming the most valuable person out there, or the most valuable expert.
But I'd like to clarify that word value, because of course you want value, but it has to be focused in direct value. And by that I mean you need to be providing the best solution to a significant problem that your listeners have. If you're giving them value on that level, specific solution to a real problem, then you're going to win.
Yeah, and it has to be an urgent problem, right? So there has to be a real alignment between, the problem that exists and your message and your offering, and everything has to come together. So what's the real potential? When we take our time as business owners, we're busy and we already have so much to do. So we're wondering, what's the potential? How much can I make? Can you give us numbers or any examples?
The best way I can give you numbers is by sharing that we've been sharing our monthly income report numbers for 76 months in a row.
That's
so,
awesome.
as much as I would love to share specific numbers from other people, there's just a lot of reasons why people don't like to share numbers and reasons why I don't have permission to share specific numbers. So we can definitely talk about kind of broader successes that a lot of podcasters have had. But like when it comes down to like real numbers, real tangible numbers, I was so passionate from day one when I launched to say, you know what? If I turn this podcast into a business that generates revenue, I want to show people exactly how we've done it. So 76 months ago, we started this monthly income report, and we bring our lawyer and our accountant on these income reports to validate it and to add value of their own in the tax and legal realm when it comes to entrepreneurship. And we share everything about how you make money. Because for us, to get back to one of the core parts of your question is, you know, how much can you make? Well, literally the sky's the limit when you are addressing it in this manner. You're capped when you're just looking at a podcast on how can I get sponsors? And that's how so many people start. You know, how can I get sponsors for my podcast? Well, if you're looking at it that way, yes, you can make money, and yes, you can get sponsors. And we make a lot of money personally through sponsorships, but there's a cap there because there's only so many sponsors you can have per show. There's only so much they're going to pay per episode, X, Y, and Z. We all get those numbers. But when you flip the podcast and you realize, hey, there's specific ways that I can do what we've already been talking about, by the way, and that's delivering real solutions to actual urgent problems that your listeners have, and then offering them that solution in the form of a product or service or a community. That's where the real money comes in. And that's where we've generated our significant wealth over the years is, for instance, saying, hey, what is your biggest struggle right now, Carolin? And like a lot of people would be like, well, you know, like I am passionate about fitness, but I don't know how like you are sharing your voice, your message, your mission with the world in entrepreneurship and interviewing successful businessmen and women. How can I do that in the fitness space? I don't know how to create that podcast, that platform, that brand. And that's why back in 2013, because we asked that question and got that answer, we launched Podcasters Paradise. Yeah. And that course has generated over $6 million in revenue since then, and is still doing $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 any given month in revenue, because it's continuing to solve a real urgent problem that people have in the podcasting space, which is how the heck do I create my platform, my podcast, create, launch, grow, and monetize that baby all the way? And so kind of getting back to the core of this question that you have, though, is like where does the money come from? Like, how do you generate revenue? All of these things. It comes back to the core. It's delivering free, valuable, and consistent content, growing an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you because you're doing it for them on a consistent basis, and then asking them the direct question, what are your biggest struggles? And then finding the urgent one, as I love that you mentioned that word urgent, it's so important, finding that urgent problem and creating the solution for it. That's where you're really going to start seeing significant traction when it comes to generating revenue.
Yeah. By the way, guys, you're watching right now, the course that John mentioned, Podcasters Paradise, highly recommended, amazing content. I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later, but if you're considering launching a podcast, that's, really where you need to go. Now, with that, I'm also wondering, you are running a podcast as your main business, like that's your business, right? But we might be, talking to someone who is a realtor or a consultant or a coach, and they're thinking, well, it's not my main business. It's a part of my, strategy and marketing and lead generation. So question, do we still need a funnel behind the podcast, or do you think it's possible to go from podcast to course, podcast to, sales call? Like, is there an additional funnel necessary, or can we simplify things?
I think you can absolutely simplify things. I think you can absolutely have a call to action on a podcast that says, hey, if you're hearing my voice and you're thinking that you might want to be buying a house in Orange County in the next 2 to 3 months, here's my phone number. Give me a call. We're going to jump on a call and, or here's a link, fill out a quick questionnaire. And if you're the right fit, my team will be in touch. Like, you can literally simplify the process and make it that quick, that simple, because if you are creating the real solutions to those real problems, then why not just offer to them right there in that point? And I would say, by the way, a few years ago, I would make the comment, yeah, like the podcast is my main business. But now I step back and I'm like, you know what? The podcast is an important part of my business, but the Entrepreneurs on Fire, the brand, it's so much more. Like a podcast, it's the main driver of traffic to my business now. Then you have Instagram, then you have Facebook, then you have speaking from stage. Then you have email marketing. There's all these different things that drive to the brand Entrepreneurs on Fire, my free courses, my funnels. But the podcast is the biggest thing that drives. It's the main traffic generator to my brand, but it's not everything that I do. So that's what I think people need to look at is like, you need to be finding like, what is your overall brand? What is that thing? And then how can you drive more traffic to that brand? What sources are you going to use? And a podcast can and should be a part of most people's plans to drive more traffic, to create more content, to add more value to the world.
Totally. Yeah. I love that you said that. We're all about keeping things simple, right? Simplification and simplified growth. And so many of our clients are choosing between a YouTube channel or a podcast or both, right? You can combine them both too. Now, when you have someone who doesn't have a podcast yet and they're looking at, do I launch my own or do I hop on other people's podcasts somehow? How do we get started? What would you recommend?
So I'd recommend this. You need to own your own brand. You need to build your own sandbox. There's huge value in going on other people's podcasts. Why do you think I'm here right now? Like, why do you think I'm on other people's YouTube shows, Facebook Lives, their podcasts, whatever their platform might be? Because there's huge value there. Like, you have a great audience. It is worth my time to share my knowledge with your audience because some of them may say, you know what, I'm going to go check out some of the free stuff that John has, and maybe I'm going to convert into one of his listeners of his podcast, subscribers to his email newsletter, following him on Instagram, joining one of his free courses or joining one of his paid courses, maybe one of those things, maybe all of those things, maybe none of those things. But, that is by me putting myself here right now is allowing me to do just that. But guess what? Like, most people are just like, well, I'm just going to use other people's platforms. Well, that's just like, do you want to just kind of like walk around like with your hand out being like, please, sir, may I have another? It's like people have spent time, energy, and effort building their brands, and they shouldn't give it away. If you want to be a guest on my podcast, it is $3,500. It's an appearance fee. Why? Because just because you're some individual who launched a book, you think you should come on my show that I spent 7 years building, have over 1 million listens per month, just because it's your right, because you're going to share value with my audience? Well, I have a lot of people that want to share value with my audience. I have over 400 applications per month of people that want to share their knowledge with my audience. So that's why there is a supply and demand issue there that benefits me. That's why there's an appearance fee of $3,500 to come on Entrepreneurs on Fire, because I've built a media empire that can command that type. Could I do that from day one? Absolutely not. Yeah. Could I do that from year 2? No. Could I do that at year 5? Maybe $500. 7 years later, 2,400 episodes later, 1 million listens a month later, yes, now you can. And that's the thing that you can be building as you're kind of going through this process. But back to your question, just be a guest on other people's podcasts or have your own. It was amazing for me back when I first launched to be able to go to other people and say, I would love to be a guest on your show. I'll deliver this specific value on your show. And by the way, I want to add value to you. So you could be a guest on my show. It's like this value exchange now. It's not just me asking for a handout. It's saying, hey, let me drop value on your show. You come drop value on my show. I win from getting exposure on your podcast. You win by getting exposure on my podcast. We all win. We're commingling. We're winning together. So that's why having your own sandbox, that's why creating your own brand, your own media empire is only going to benefit you down the road.
Absolutely. So guys, crystal clear, right? Really invest the time in building your own platform, your own audience. And this is so smart too, because the social media channels, we don't know what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen to Facebook? Who knows, right? All these channels are great, but a podcast, it's this major asset that you have that nobody can take away from you.
They can't take it away.
Nope, that's yours. Exactly. So 3 tips, John. What do we need to keep in mind when we build our podcast? 3 tips or 3 mistakes? You choose.
Maybe I'll combine those things. I'll choose 1 or 2 tips and 1 or 2 mistakes. But what I want to start off with is a tip, and it's a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And that tip is really be specific about the micro niche you want to serve. So many people are just like terrified about launching a niche podcast because they think it's not going to have a big enough audience. Well, the problem is if you launch a broad podcast, it's going to have no audience because you're going to be screaming into the wind. You're going to be battling everybody and you're trying to resonate with everybody. So you're going to resonate with nobody. So find that specific niche. Like go back to that random realtor that you were mentioning. Like don't just start a podcast like about, real estate. You should be starting a podcast on, first-time home buyers in Orange County, California. That'd be a great podcast because guess what? First-time home buyers in Orange County, California, why would they listen to any other podcast except yours? Because yours is the most relevant and specific to them, and you're going to win. And then guess what? In a year, if you've blown up, you can completely change the name to First-Time Home Buyers in California or First-Time Home Buyers in America or just whatever it might be at that time. Like this is your show. Nothing's in stone. You can change at any point. So a tip is go micro niche, serve a very specific audience, and then know that you can go broad after that point.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And that's people are when they're searching for information and podcasts and episodes, I'm sure they're really specific in what they're searching for too. So, if you're specific, you'll be found by those people as well.
Another mistake that a lot of people make is unrealistic expectations. Like so many people are like, John, like I need to have my website ready and my social media handles ready and all this stuff before I launch. So they keep delaying their launch. And I'm like, I gotta break it down for you. Nobody's gonna listen to your podcast when you launch because nobody knows, nobody cares. You haven't built an audience yet. So just launch it, figure out that other stuff along the way, because it's going to take time, energy, and effort to build this audience. It's going to take 6 months, a year plus before you start seeing any kind of real traction. So stop being perfect, stop having perfectionism, stop trying, to procrastinate because, you're not ready yet. You're never going to be ready. So just launch the stupid podcast, get it out there. Nobody's going to listen. Be okay with that. And that kind of goes into the third thing I want to say, which is you have to be consistent because if somebody finally finds your show and they give it a glance and they see that you haven't released an episode in 3 or 4 weeks, they're going to be like, well, why did I spend the time listening and subscribing to a show that's never going to be producing new content? Yep. Even if you might be, but you've just taken a break or whatever, there's no reason why you can't have a committed minimal weekly podcast. Kate and I just went on a 90-day European trip. And guess what? I didn't miss a single day of releasing an episode while I was on that trip because the month before, I did all the interviews that I needed to do and I scheduled them to be released while I was gone.
Wow.
It's really not that hard, but you have to have that commitment to consistency.
Definitely. Well, and you're a great role model. How many episodes do you produce?
So I've done 2,435 over the past 7 years. Yeah. Right now, my show is a 3-day per week show, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It used to be for 5.5 years, a daily show.
Yeah. So definitely consistency is king and the long-term vision. You play the long game and procrastination and perfectionism, just get it out there. You're good enough already and it's always going to get better. So John, I want to respect your time. You're incredible. Guys, I want you to go check him out. John, tell us where people can connect with you.
So all the magic happens at eofire.com. That's our website. That's where we have a ton of free courses and gifts and awesomeness for anybody that wants to check us out. We have some great content. I would love if anybody wanted to listen to the podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, because we are always prepared to ignite.
Yes. And one thing I really want to highly recommend, if you just want to get a taste of John and what he's all about, you have a fantastic course on your website. It's a free How to Get Started with Podcasting course that I've watched through and through. Highly recommend it. Get started. If you want to launch your own podcast, go over to John's website, eofire.com. Free resources, gifts are right there. We'll be sharing more down below in the description, so go check out those links. And yeah, with that, John, it was outstanding. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you again so much for watching. This was incredible. As always, stay focused on your goals because I believe that you are meant to bring your passions to the world. If you like this episode, give us a like, share it with your friends, share it on social media, and then don't forget to subscribe and come back again next week. Thanks again and take care. Are you a woman business owner looking for the best ways to grow your business without working more? In my most popular training, I'll show you your biggest opportunities and what might be blocking your growth right now. Let's grow your business while making real space on your calendar, experiencing ease, spending time with loved ones, automating everything that makes sense, and letting go of overwhelm. Go to bullseyefix.com to watch the video right now.